Hello, writers, readers. I'm freelance fiction editor Miranda Darrow, here with my weekly video about writing and editing and the writing life. This month, we've been talking about epistolary novels, which are novels that feature letters and other forms of communication. And I had a video earlier this month about writing tips for that. And this video is about some tech tips for including maps, glossaries, letters, and other visual features in your novel. It's a thrill to see a map tucked into a novel. It promises adventure, secrets, and the delicious possibility of getting lost. Visual features like maps, glossaries, illustrated inserts, letter-style pages, and formatted emails, transcripts, and other found documents do more than just decorate a book. They change how a reader experiences time, space, and voice. They make the world of the story more tactile. So, here's some tips for how you can incorporate these features into your own novels without turning your manuscript into an unreadable treasure hunt. Why should you add visual features at all? One is for orientation and scale. A map tells readers where characters are and how big the world feels for the characters. It orients their attention fast. Another is for authority and realism. A glossary, footnote, or archival documents make an invented world feel researched and lived in. It also adds voice and intimacy. Letters, journals, or emails let characters speak directly while also allowing subtext, like what's omitted. And playful structure. Visuals invite readers to slow down, flip back, connect the dots, which is great for mystery and layered narratives. Here are some practical tips for each of these types of features. For maps, keep it readable at book scale. A complex 3,000 node political map may be fascinating, but if 90% of it is unreadable at 5-inch by 3-inch pages, it's wasted. Prioritize the coastlines, the major cities, the routes that are relevant for the plot. Next tip, use the map as a storytelling tool. Don't just show the geography. You can use the map to foreshadow, like a missing island, or to mislead, a political border that changes. Or you can use it to reveal character. A home village is circled in pencil on your map because this is like somebody's personal map. Label sparingly and consistently. Use the same names, spellings, and capitalizations on your map as you do in your text. So if you're copy editing these, make sure they match if you've got that material available when you're copy editing too. Consider an inset or fold out for large worlds if your publisher will allow this, or if you produce a deluxe edition if you're an indie author. A fold out map can be delightful. For most trade paperbacks, a single page mini map is ideal. A larger map could also be a bonus content on your author's website. All right, let's talk for a minute about glossaries, family trees, and timelines. Use these when your world needs a cheat sheet. Glossaries are a kindness for invented terms, currencies, magical rules, unfamiliar flora or fauna. Timelines are great if the plot depends on historical events, but avoid over-explaining. Let the glossary clarify, but not lecture. If the term's meaning can be made out clear in the context, that's often stronger than listing a glossary. And I do caution people from having too long of one. I've got an example of a book that I did enjoy, but it had like a 12-page glossary, and I was like, oh my, that's too much. Letters, diaries, emails, and chat screens. So we talked about them and incorporating them in books and how to write them, but this is really how to format them, part of it. So be believable in your voice. Each medium has its conventions. A 19th century letter will read very differently than a 2025 DM. Honor the conventions while also keeping readability like you do for dialogue, and don't get hung up on the formalities. Get right to the action after a quick Dear John to flag that this is a letter. Show the medium's constraint. Text messages and emails are usually short and impulsive. Letters are slower and more formal. If you're including things like a court finding, use enough of the formatting to make it look authentic without showing what an actual heading looks like, because that's way too much space in words. Control what's not shown. Unsaved drafts, deleted messages, redacted lines, things that are crossed out. Oh, yes, those are narrative gold. They let the reader imagine what's missing. For graphs, diagrams, and other found documents, use them sparingly and meaningfully. Don't add a diagram just because you can. Add it because it advances the plot, the world building, or the tone. Design for legibility. High contrast, clean type is your friend. If the diagram needs to convey data, make sure that the readers can see it at the print size. And think about digital versus print. Screens can zoom in images, print cannot. If a diagram is dense, provide an accompanied plain text explanation. If you're offering book and audio, think about uploading the information on a hidden page on your website that directs readers to your audiobook to keep those audiobook readers engaged and not missing out on this material. Best practices for integration. Make design part of the outline. Decide early whether you're including a map or a glossary, and if it's integral to the plot. Retrofitting is a lot harder. Mock it up in the manuscript stage. Put a placeholder, insert map here in the manuscript to help your editors and designers, and work with the designer early. Interior designers will advise on margins, bleeds, and how illustration will affect pagination. If you self-publish, you might want to look into getting a pro at layout. Think accessibility. Add plain text descriptions to your maps, diagrams in your ebook versions. Use alt text or paragraph descriptions so screen reader users aren't left in the dark. Always check with legal and ethical issues with AI art. If you use AI tools to generate maps, art, and other illustrations, be careful about the training data and copyrights in your chosen tool's license. The AI art legal environment is changing very quickly. And if you plan to sell or license widely, I do recommend you consult an attorney. This is not legal advice. Tools and resources. Here's a short list of some that you can use. So for map generators and illustration tools, some of the tools that people use are Inkarnate, Inkarnate, which is an online fantasy map maker. It's quick, it's beginner friendly, and it exports high resolution maps. Wonderdraft is a downloadable, feature-rich fantasy map app that's a one-time purchase. Asgar's fantasy map generator is a free open source procedural map web app, great for rapid world skeletons. If you're an iPad user, you can use Procreate, which is especially useful if you sketch your own. I am not an Apple user, so I've never seen that. For AI and image generation, be very careful about checking your licensing. All right, here's a quick list of craft do's and don'ts. Do keep visual features purposeful. Make sure that they're giving readers something that they can use, not just because you think it looks nice. Do test all the graphics at your finished book size, which includes mobile and ebook, which will shrink them down because a lot of people are reading entire novels on their phones these days, people with better eyesight than me. Do document the font files, color choices, and image DPI for the designers if you get the hex codes for those colors. Don't bury important plot points solely in a graphic, especially if it's hard to read. If a clue lives on a map, it should also make an appearance in the text. So maybe have one of the characters look at the map and they can mention it while they're mentioning a bunch of other stuff. And don't rely on AI imagery without checking licenses. The legal climate is rapidly changing. A final talk and a little pep talk. Visual features are not just nice, they are permission to your readers to be playful and thoughtful with the book as an object. They let you hand the reader a physical key to your world, a map that can be traced by fingertip, a letter that is a slice of another life, a glossary that makes your language sound lived in. Use them to deepen emotional stakes, but not to flex tech. If you do that, you'll have readers who don't just read your world, they will live in your world for a while. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share. I post new content every week about writing, editing, and the writing life. This is freelance fiction editor Miranda Darrow wishing you happy writing.